I'm Ryan Dobson. I run an organization called Rebel Parenting. We podcast 3 times a week, helping moms and dads be better spouses and better parents. A lot of people ask us about what it was like growing up in the house of James Dobson. And up until the 6th grade, very normal. Kind of like any other family out there. I didn't know we were famous. I didn't know my parents were famous. I just thought they were mom and dad. And one day in school, in the 6th grade, we had a substitute teacher. She was taking roll, and she said, "Ryan Dobson." I said, "Here." And she goes, "Oh, like Dr. Dobson." And I go, "Well, yeah, that's my dad." And she said, "Oh, honey, I know you wish he was." And I thought, what a weird thing to say. Like, this is just my parents. And I didn't respond. And in that instant, the whole classroom erupts. And everybody's going, "That's his dad. His dad's James Dobson." And I thought, why does everyone know who my dad is? What's going on? And then she got really embarrassed. I couldn't understand that. I mean, I'm just a regular 6th grader. The next day I show up at school, still have a substitute teacher, and now she's got a stack of my dad's books for me to bring home for him to autograph for her. And I thought, what is going on? And that was kind of the floodgates opening. I didn't know that all the carpools were listening to my dad's show every day on the way to school, that he was telling stories about us. And apparently that was the trigger that let everybody know, like, oh, now we can talk about who your dad is in front of you. And that was a little strange, I gotta be honest. And I run my own ministry. And so there was that kind of trepidation of, I think I can help people, but I grew up with a family of experts. And I'm not an expert. I'm a parent. I'm a husband. I fail all the time. I'm stumbling through life just trying to get a little better every day. My dad was an expert. He did the Focus on the Family film series released in 1979, and he was 43. It's really young, but at 43, he had an undergrad, an earned PhD from USC. He was on staff at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. He was a professor of pediatrics at USC School of Medicine, professor of family development at Point Loma. He had been a teacher, a junior high counselor, a high school counselor, a district counselor, private practice counselor, and he had 3 bestsellers. At 43, like, he really knew what he was talking about. And what he really tried to do is use his PhD in science to prove what he already knew to be true from the Bible. And so he was telling people, listen, science and the Bible don't butt heads. It's completely intermeshed. It goes hand in hand together. The Lord knew that I created you before you were born. I knit you together in your mother's womb. You've got a unique personality. And when he was getting his PhD in the 60s, they were saying children are tabula rasa. They are blank slates, and it's all the parent. However your child acts is 100% your fault. Well, parenting already induces so much shame and so much guilt, and it's this job that you don't know if you're doing a good job until it's far too late. And he was saying, I think kids are born with a temperament. You know, my sister was strong-willed. I was really compliant, but we came out of the womb that way. You didn't have to, you know, you'd look at me funny in the rearview mirror, and it would be like, what, sit, stand, sit, no, jump, sit, what do I do? And Danae was a little bit different. She was more, you know, she had that kind of fighter spirit growing up. We were born that way. And so you don't have to parent every child exactly the same. And I think he gave parents a break, and he really gave them this great toolbox of things you can use with your kids, different methods you can try, ways to reach them more. And he was really trying to get parents into their children's lives. He started Focus on the Family in 1976 when I was 6 years old. And then the Focus on the Family film series came out in '79. He's a unique individual. At one time, he was speaking to 330 million people every single week. He had 7 of the top 10 bestsellers at the same time. I mean, he is amazing. And I was telling him all this, and he was like, "Ryan, stop." And I'm like, isn't it amazing that the Lord has used you in such mighty ways? I mean, you've advised 4 presidents over decades and decades and decades. He's still doing it in his 80s. He works 5 days a week. He's doing radio 5 days a week. In the last 6 years, he wrote 4 books, did a new film series, put out an undergrad and graduate curriculum through Liberty University. He's just amazing. About 8 years ago, Focus on the Family and my dad split ways, and I kind of thought he'd retire. You know, he had done, in my view, he had done enough. And I was on vacation, and he called and said, "I'm going to start a new ministry." And I said, "Really? Do you want to?" And he said, "Well, not really." And I said, "Well, then why are you doing it?" He said, "The Lord told me last night he's not done with me yet." And I said, "Well, then definitely don't ignore him for sure do it. Well, I had been podcasting for years. I've podcasted for over 15 years now. I started before iTunes was released. And I know it's so silly. I read about podcasting in Wired magazine. I remember thinking that day, oh, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. This is what I'm going to do forever. And I went home. There was no iTunes. It was just so complicated and so convoluted. But I really believed in it. And so I'd been podcasting for years at that point. And when he said he was going to go back on the radio, I said, I really want to try out and be your co-host. And he laughed. And I thought, hey, I'm really good at this. I've been doing this for a while. You got to let me try out. And to his credit, this is completely my dad. He said, well, Ryan, I mean, we can try this, but if we don't work together well, and if you're not good, if people don't like you, then I can't keep you as my co-host. I mean, just because you're my son doesn't mean you can do this. And I was like, well, I think I'm pretty good at this. I think we might work out well. And we had a ball. I'm telling you, I have never learned more about broadcasting and interviews and how to be a co-host. It is so hard to be a co-host. And early on, he'd be interviewing like Chuck Colson, and they're talking about these amazing, brilliant things, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my goodness. And I remember his producer at the time wrote me a note like, you need to talk more on the broadcast. And I was like, who wants to hear from me? It's Chuck Colson and my dad. And they were like, but you're a young parent. You're newly married. This is your wheelhouse. And they really pulled me out of my shell. And I mean, we had 6 or 7 years together. I was vice president of broadcast. And I mean, what better thing to do? It's hanging out with your dad every single day, interviewing these brilliant minds, all while helping the family. I mean, what a treat. And then I get to do it today. I did a Facebook Live interview yesterday. It was out on the internet. Last night, I had a mom email me saying, my husband and I just found out our 14-year-old's been sneaking out of the house. She lost her virginity. We're heartbroken. We don't know what to do. Can you help us? And I was like, well, time to put the big boy pants on. Like, that's what I asked for. The crises we get at Rebel Parenting, pornography, addiction, infidelity, it's everywhere. I mean, it's just everywhere. This overreaching thing that we get that I finally named, we call it together alone. And you've got a husband and wife on the couch, and he's watching SportsCenter on the TV, and she's on Instagram on her phone. And they're together, but they're alone. Oh, they're up in bed, and she's watching, Desperate Housewives, and he's watching a movie on his iPad. And they're in close proximity, but they're drifting apart. And the culture is driving that. And we're saying, my goodness, when marriage is good, there is no describing it. It is like you're on the... My wife believes I can do things I know that I can't do. How crazy is that? Like she believes with all of her heart I can do things that I know in my heart I cannot do, but because she believes in me that way, I do these things. And that's what a great marriage is. When marriage is bad, it's the loneliest place in the world. You live with someone, you're in bed with someone, and you're by yourself every day, and it's so painful. I'm divorced. I was married before. I remember going through a divorce and thinking, I'll never work again. Here I am, son of Dr. James Dobson, child and family expert, going through a horrible divorce. But I've been there. I've been alone in a house with another person. Anything my new wife, Laura, and I can do to help families, we'll do anything. I mean, we're celebrating 14 years this year. We met on a blind date. It was just crazy, right? It's just crazy. We met on a blind date. I asked her to marry me 3 weeks later. We got married 5 months after that. On our wedding day, we hadn't known each other 6 months yet. I mean, we went through all the early learn about each other while being married. That was a little bit crazy at times. But man, when it's good, it is the best. When Laura and I got married, we had these great plans. I mean, we lived by the beach in Southern California, and she had been in ministry, and I was in ministry. We're going to do ministry together. We're going to have babies. We'll be at the beach all the time. 1 month after we got married, 1 month, I was speaking with my dad in Colorado, and I just heard the Lord say, you should move here. And I was like, what? No, Lord, no. Like, it's winter here. It snows here. Like, I like the warm weather. People are like, oh, I like seasons. I like the good ones. I like summer, and I like a little bit of fall. Then back to summer again. And we took the leap of faith. November 1st, over 14 years ago, we moved to Colorado, and it was tough at first. I didn't know why the Lord brought us there. My dad was still focused on the family. They hadn't split yet. My work was drying up. I couldn't find work. I didn't know what to do. And I started podcasting. I was doing it more and more. And he was preparing me to go to work with my dad. And then the split happened. To watch him go through that with so much grace. He didn't fight. He didn't badmouth. Goodness, as a son, I just wanted to throw hands all the time. And watching him do that with as much wisdom and grace as he did was such a treat. And then we figured it out. He wanted us to work together. And he was preparing me for my career now. I didn't know a lot about broadcasting. I hadn't had producers, and I wasn't broadcasting live on the internet. I wasn't even available when we started together. And then after about 6 or 7 years, we just needed to talk about real, unfiltered things that are affecting families. And unfortunately, a lot of Christian radio censors those things off the radio. If you want to talk about pornography, there's a number of stations that won't ever play it. You want to talk about abuse, they won't play it. Some denominations don't believe in therapy and counseling. If you talk about that, they won't play it. And I just thought, you know what? I can't stand by and watch marriage after marriage after marriage crumble around me and not say, stop looking at porn. Go find counseling, get to an AA meeting, do something. But if you can't let me say that on the air every day, I got to go someplace else and do it. And I met with my parents and I told them what I was thinking, and I won't lie, we both cried about it. It was so hard. I love working with them so much, but they understood. He's like, Ryan, you got to do it. You've got to. If the Lord is calling you there, you cannot ignore the call. You got to be honest. It's going to be hard. People are going to hate it. But those that love it are going to love you forever. And we get super, super gnarly stuff. Marriage is under fire. And culture does it too. Culture tells you that the most passion and the most bedroom time, all that stuff is going to happen in your first year of marriage. And then after that, it's going to start trickling down. And then a decade in, you're not having sex anymore. You've drifted apart and you think to yourself, man, this stinks. But every sitcom and every rom-com movie, you go, well, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be. And then we wonder why pornography is pandemic and why infidelity is out through the ceiling. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. It ought to be the opposite. Like it starts with a bang and then it gets better and better. It's like working out. I started CrossFit. I won't preach on CrossFit, but I started this a number of years ago. My first workout, I threw up. I just thought I was going to die doing it. Well, I got better, and then I got better, and then I got better, and I started lifting more weights, and I started getting healthier and healthier, and it's like, that can be your marriage. I look back on the first years of our marriage, I was terrible. I was terrible at everything, but we grew, and we worked out, and we got counseling, and we went to therapy, and we started communicating better, and your marriage, I look at my parents who have been married for, let's see, this year, they will be married 59 years. 59 years. My parents love spending time with each other. They've been in Palm Springs for 4 months while he's working on a book. You know what they do? They hang out all day. After 59 years, all they do is hang out. They talk. They talk about their lives. They have conversations. You think, haven't you run out of stuff to talk about after 59 years? Nope. Because their marriage grew. They worked at it. They invested in each other. My dad says he's a success today because of my mom. I believe that. She was too. National Day of Prayer president for 25 years. Why? Because my dad said, I believe in you. You can do this. It's what we all want. A number of years ago, my dad wrote a book called Building a Family Legacy. And we did a film series on it, an 8-part film series. And it's really, the theme is passing on your belief system to the next generation. How do you teach your kids about the faith? And it was so fun to do it with my dad. And we just keep looking for new ways. How do you have another conversation about this same thing with your kids in a new way? And, we run Rebel Parenting, my wife and I. And it's interesting. my dad started focus on the family and then family talk with donor-based ministry. You know, last year he took 25 trips. Most of those were fundraising trips to fund his ministry. Well, it's hard to do that in 2019. And so my wife and I have been looking for sponsors on the broadcast. We do live read commercials for different organizations. And about a year ago, an organization came to us called Rev Media, and they were animating Pilgrim's Progress. Now, Pilgrim's Progress is the second best-selling book in history. Number one is the Bible. Number two is Pilgrim's Progress. I think it was written, it was over 100 years ago this book was written. It's been published more than any other book, bar the Bible, in history, and they're going to animate it. And they said, we really want to sponsor the program, and we want you to promote the movie. And I was like, well, that sounds amazing, but if your movie isn't very good, I can't tell parents to spend money on it. I mean, parents are going to buy diapers or see your movie, and if they go to the movie and it stinks, they're going to call and complain, and they should. I watched that film. I cried. I gotta be honest, I did. It made me emotional. It is so timeless. It is shocking to hear that story retold in brand new CGI animation. And here's the other thing that's nuts, and this is why I love it so much. I've got a 7-year-old, a 12-year-old, my wife is in her 40s, I'm gonna be 50 in a couple years. Every single one of us not only loved it, we got something totally different out of it. You've got Christian Pilgrim that wakes up with this burden on his back that only he can see, and it's weighing him down. And there's this journal he finds that preaches of a hope in the celestial kingdom, that where the burden can be lifted, and he longs for his burden to be lifted. And I'm watching this as a parent, and I've got this, I get goosebumps. I have so much anxiety about how do I teach my kids about Jesus? Like, we're going to spend eternity somewhere. Where will they be? My dad had the exact same anxiety when he had his heart attack. I'll never forget being in his hospital room, and he's got sensors and wires and EKGs and beeps and all this stuff going off. And he said, Ryan, he said, if I don't make it, promise me when I get to the other side that you'll be there. Ryan, it's the most important thing. There's nothing more important than this to me. You've got to be there. And that was his mantra of be there. Be there on the other side. Make sure you follow Jesus. And he's been preaching that for years and years. And as a parent, I look at my kids. I mean, it was just yesterday that my son was this tiny little preemie who was colicky, and he screamed all night and all day, and we couldn't console him. And the other day, he walked out of his room, and he's this huge little boy. I mean, he's over 5 feet tall, and he's 12 years old, and I just thought, where did the years go? I'm like, you're huge. You grew up on me. And I would die if I couldn't pass my faith on to him. And I was so thrilled at watching Pilgrim's Progress with my family and having my little 7-year-old baby girl ask about the celestial kingdom and ask about patience versus passion and legalism and all the themes that it brings up. And have my son have completely different things he wants to talk about, and how we can watch it throughout our lives. I mean, I'm almost 50. It still impacts me. Of not taking the easy way out, not taking shortcuts, not looking for the green pasture. I mean, I know you guys talk about couples that struggle and the real stories of their lives. My wife went through a horrendous cancer surgery a year ago. We went through a 1.5 years of chemo and then this awful surgery, and she had 150 stitches in her mouth and facial reconstructive surgery. And I gotta tell you, it's the worst. It's the worst. Watching your wife in pain every day, what do you do? And my head has to tell my heart, Jesus died for me. That's not cliche. That's not a knee-jerk little Christianese answer. Jesus died for me. You know, I think about that, and I think, I'm not good enough or bad enough for someone to die for me. Like, I'm not going to do that as much good as I want to do. Come on, let's not be ridiculous. I'm not going to do that much good. I'm not going to do that much bad either. And when I say I wasn't worth dying for, at the same time the Lord goes, how dare you? How dare you say that? Before the earth was created, I knew who you would be. I knew what you would do. I knew you would fail me. And I paid a price before. John 3:16 is a past tense verse. The Bible is a living word. It says, for God so loved the world. Not loves, it could say loves the world. That's why he gave his son. It said loved the world before I was created, before I sinned for the first time. He knew what would happen. And he said, I love you so much. I'm going to pay a price you'll never understand. When the Bible says I stand at the door and knock, it's not a little polite little tap, tap, tap. Oh, excuse me, could you please open the door? So it's not that. If you paid the price with your child, if you gave up being God to be a human being and to suffer death as a human, an unjust, unrighteous death, to be lied about, if that's the price you paid, how hard would you be knocking on someone's door trying to get to them? He's banging our door down, and it's eternal. From before I was born until the instant he comes back, he is banging on my door. I got to share that. I mean, for him to pay that price. Now, if I believe all that to be true, if I believe he's got my best interest at heart, well, then he allowed my wife to have cancer. And I don't know why. I don't know why. But if he did, it must be what I need. I don't know why I need it. But I have to believe everything about the Lord. I can't just believe the things I like. I got to believe everything. And if he loves me that much and he allowed us to go through this cancer, well, then that must be what we have to do. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's to show people the way. Maybe it's to show people you can go through hard times and suffering and still follow the Lord because your head tells your heart. What a long journey from the head to the heart when your heart is just beating through your chest and pitter-pattering all over the place and you've got all the fear around you and your head says, hey, remember who he is. There's nothing you can do to make the Lord love you more or less. It's consistently eternal. He loves you the exact same every day. It's not the God of second chance. He's the God of 200th chances that says, every day I'm knocking on your door, man, every single day. And I was so, we love having sponsors for the program. And I know this tool. It's so entertaining. The animation is so great. The voiceover artists, oh my goodness, Kristen Getty, the singer, is in it. She's so beautiful in life and she's so beautiful in the film. And you can hear her Irish voice coming through in it. And I am so overjoyed knowing that parents can watch this with their kids and they can go, what do you think about this? What do you think the celestial kingdom is going to be like? What would it be like to give up everything? You know, when they're going through Vanity Fair and the two men traveling together, one of them dies. You know, we're going through cancer. People are like, oh, it's going to work out. Maybe, but maybe not. Don't promise me something you can't. But if not, it's still, the Lord is still with me every step of the way. He's never going to forsake me. He'll never fail me. And man, sharing that with people, it is the highest honor. I mean, this is my job. Who would have thought? I have the greatest job in the world, telling parents and couples that Jesus is the center of a better marriage and a better parenting. Oh, I'm so thrilled. I resonate with Kristen Pilgrim so much. I know everybody does. That's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be who we are in the film. And I've seen the film so many times now, and it's very interesting. You know, my wife was in remission when I saw it for the first time, and then we went through cancer with it. And I remember early on when he's climbing the mountain of legalism, my goodness. I mean, I was raised in such a traditional, quote-unquote, legalistic church, and it was about following these rules. It was if you can just follow enough rules, if you can just be enough regulated, if you can just control enough, well, then you'll feel grace, and you never do. You just never do. In the middle of chemo, the swamp of despair, I never thought I'd get out of it. I never thought I'd make it out of despair. I wanted to wake up with joy in the morning, and I would wake up just so sad and getting through that. And in the middle of that, I remember watching, and the segments would come out, and they would send me new pieces. choosing the hard road, it's what it's about. I mean, faith, hard work, responsibility, it is the meaning of life. The more responsibility I take on, the better my life gets, the better it gets for the people around me. The harder I work, the better my life gets, the better it gets for those around me. And having all of those things, having, his friends come, obstinance, and I'm going to draw a blank on the other guy. I can't believe I'm doing that. But having those people in your life, those toxic people, the ones that are questioning your faith, the ones saying, look, there's an easier way over here. And why don't you take that shortcut over there? And isn't the grass greener on the other side of the fence? I mean, those people are in our lives every day. But when you know the Lord has set you on a path, when you know that burden is one you have to carry, you do it. My dad would tell me it's never wrong to do right, and it's never right to do wrong. And it sounds, like this funny little thing to say, and yet when you're going through situations in life and you go, I got to do the right thing. I got to do it. I mean, this movie is so relatable in so many different ways. And that's why it's why it's been around for hundreds of years, because you can go back and read it again and go, oh, where am I at now? Am I stuck in legalism? Am I trying to follow these rules? Am I trying to make sense of the world around me? Or am I taking the easy way out? Am I cutting corners in my marriage? Am I letting my wife shoulder the burden for me? Or am I carrying it myself? I mean, it is, everything about it's brilliant. In closing, my goodness, thank you for this opportunity. I love sharing about what we do at Rebel Parenting. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, rebelparenting.org. Pilgrims.movie is the website for the film. And I hope everyone sees it. And when you do, write us at Rebel Parenting. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you resonate with. And if there's anything we can do to help your marriage or to help your parenting get better, please call on us. I want to thank Pilgrim's Progress so much for taking a risk and sponsoring our show and allowing us to do this. Allowing us to minister to families is the greatest joy that I have. And I thank them so much, not just for sponsoring us, but for giving us one of the best tools to share our faith with our kids and the next generation.
God is love, and love comes from God. In 1 John, the Bible tells us that God is not only all-loving, but that He actually is love itself. The heart of the Parent Compass television show is to bring the transforming love of God to families everywhere. In every Parent Compass episode, true stories reveal family struggles and how their lives were radically changed by the love of God. Parent Compass, an award-winning television series, is completely funded by people like you. If you have been touched by God and you want to share God's love to others, would you please pass it on? Jesus tells us to go into all the world and to tell about Him. With your donation, you allow us to take this television show into many different nations and in many different languages, free of charge. And a portion of your donation goes to Parent Compass Outreach to feed starving children. Your gift does so much. To make your tax-deductible gift, go to parentcompass.tv/donate. That's parentcompass.tv/donate. And thank you for sending love and hope around the world.